and welcome to another CyberClan Employee Spotlight. Last week, we brought you our inaugural episode with Craig Mayer, our Client Success Manager. And today, I'm super excited to welcome a sales superstar with us, Michael Daggett. Welcome to the show this week.
Oh, Aaron, so good to be here. It's so fun to be part of this team. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, I know that you and I actually started, well, I came on officially in October, but we've been working together for a little while. So you're not brand new to the team, but why don't you tell us all what your role is with the team and what that means for the CyberClan business?
Yeah, absolutely. I joined the team in July, and I'm a business development manager. And even I didn't know what that meant at first. Like, just go develop business. Like, okay, I can do that. But what it means is I work with our customers to figure out what security posture they need next, and what tools they need, and we provide the solutions and really kind of be their sounding board as they try and navigate the landscape themselves. And it's just a ton of fun.
Well, I know we're super excited to have you. You've been having some good success lately, and I think that's just so exciting for the team. We're growing at epic levels, and we really like to celebrate our heroes. And by the looks of the background in your room, you're a real life hero. Tell us a little bit about your veteran experience.
Well, thanks for that. And I learned from being in the Air Force. I joined the Air Force pretty much right out of high school, and I learned very early on you can't do anything alone. And the quote I love to use is, "If you think you can do it by yourself, you're not thinking big enough." And so I did 27 years in the Air Force. Many of those, for about 10 or so, I deployed to Turkey, Hungary, Bosnia during all of that kind of mess. And then just before 9/11, believe it or not, I ended up going into recruiting because my wife and I wanted to have a family and start a family. And I was like, man, I just can't be on the road as much as I was, overseas. I think I missed 7 anniversaries in a row. And so sure enough, I left the busy lifestyle, went into recruiting, and then all of a sudden 9/11 hits, and I kind of like left out, right? Because as soon as 9/11 hit, all of my teams all deployed, and here I was sitting in a recruiting office answering phone calls, and it was kind of weird, but it kind of led me here, which is kind of neat. So everything happens for a reason, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and we have a great team of a lot of veterans, actually, quite a few Air Force. So it's kind of exciting for me when Veterans Day went by this year. It was really cool to be able to truly recognize some heroes of our country. So I appreciate your service. Thank you for that. So tell me a little bit more about that transition. You said this sort of led you here. How does someone think about preparing for a career as a business development manager with cybersecurity, and maybe more specifically with CyberClan?
There's nothing more rewarding than helping somebody figure out a problem. And as a recruiter, I did a really good job of taking off the hat of, I must get you to raise your right hand. And because I never really wanted to be that guy, I wanted to work with people and say, how can I help you? And it started on my early on career when I first tried to join the Air Force. The Air Force told me the very first time, they said, "We're sorry, you are permanently disqualified from joining the military. You can never ever join the service." And I was crushed because that was really my only plan. I didn't have a plan B. There was no backup. I was going in the Air Force or not. And when they told me that, like I said, it crushed me. And it took a couple months, but a recruiter found my paperwork and she went the extra mile, and she really took care of me as a person. And I said, I didn't really notice at the time, but I said from that point on, I'm like, man, that really meant a lot to me. And she gave me a 27-year career that I would never have had if she didn't go that extra mile. And she did it because she wanted to take care of me as a person. So the same kind of transition, when I started going into recruiting, I approached it from the standpoint of, when someone comes to me, I need to sit there and listen to them and try and figure out, my job is to know everything I could know about the Air Force, and then try and relay that to somebody else as they were trying to navigate a completely unknown territory.
Right.
So same thing happens in the cyber world. What we're starting to notice is, fortunately or unfortunately, a lot of our customers come to us and they don't understand the security aspect of cyber. They're IT folks, which are super knowledgeable and amazing people, but there's a distinct difference between being an IT guy and being a security person. And so what I try and do now is just say, let me just listen to what your needs are, and then let me tell you what tools we have in the industry, how we can help solve it, so that you don't need to be the expert. You can rely on someone and hopefully trust someone to get the answers you need, so that you don't have to spin up a whole second career to try and keep your system safe. So that's kind of how I approach it.
I love it. And it really speaks to our desire to always keep the human in mind. So, this
Yeah.
empathetic listening ear, trying to figure out what it is that you need and how can we help you better understand the solutions for that. Awesome. And security,
Yeah.
of course, is something you know well as a veteran. I'm curious, what's the most exciting thing you have kind of your eyes set on for work with CyberClan in the future?
It's the whole thing is exciting because even though I didn't come from a complete cyber background, I always kind of tinkered with on the IT side and tinkered with security on my own home devices. So it always piqued my interest. But I think the most exciting piece is truly when you sit there working with we're on some calls, very early in the, like a cyberware, I mean, a ransomware negotiation case where you're listening to a CEO of a company saying things like, I'm not sure how we're going to pay our employees this week if we don't get the system. I'm not sure if we're going to be in business next week. And so what's exciting for me is when we can come in and kind of, lovingly wrap our arms around them and say, it's going to be okay, we will walk you through it. And so the exciting thing for me is to reach more and more of those opportunities where we can just take that stress off of someone's plate. And certainly with COVID going on now and so much going crazy in the world, we don't need to add stress to people's plate. Those who can take stress off of someone's plate, they're going to have a job for the rest of their lives, I believe.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I love the fact that, a lot of people, when they go into certain industries, if they're not directly connected to nonprofit or feel good types of causes, they feel like maybe they're not having that big of an impact. But what you just said, I think, sums up a lot about how we see cybersecurity. But also, I came from various industries too. And I'm sitting here thinking, I mean, you're truly making the world a safer place. But in that moment, when you're working with them, you're making their world a safer place and you're making them more comfortable with how we're resolving the issues so that they can pay their employees. So I think it's really cool that you've been able to find sort of that real, altruistic or intrinsic value in the services that we're providing through the work that you're able to do with your customers. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's so rewarding. And when I talk with a lot of our clients, it's funny. The typical salesperson wants to ask, what's your budget? Oh, my budget's 30,000. Okay, well, this just happens to be 29,995. You can afford it. But in this world, what we're finding, a lot of companies haven't actually budgeted for this. So I don't ask that question because the answer is going to almost always be, well, our budget's zero, we didn't think anything about this. And so
Right.
then where do you go from there? So I try and approach it to, what are your needs, and how did you get breached, and how do we plug the holes, and now we together, we got to go back and fight your team and fight your board to get the money you need to make yourself secure. Because as we know, this isn't going away. The problem is going to just continue to grow and grow and grow. And those who haven't met us yet, knock on wood, they've just been fortunate. A lot of them haven't been protected, they've just been fortunate they haven't been next. And we'd like to get to them before the threat actors do.
That's great. Well, before we let you go, last week I noticed Craig had a bunch of guitars and banjos on his wall. I love to always get personal here. So tell us something we don't know about you. What's a passion or a hobby you've got that you just want to bring to those virtual happy hours we have and share with everybody?
Oh, that's a stumper, right? So, it's funny.
I know. I don't know. I know a few things about you, Mike. I'm sure you're hiding
Uh-oh, uh-oh.
them.
It's kind of funny. So, I run a nonprofit as well, and it was heavily tied in the golf industry, and I'm not a golfer, and so, but it was born out of the golf industry. But I felt connected to the cause so much that I became involved and been involved for almost 13 years now, and I manage the chapter here for the state of Indiana. But going back to how it ties into golf is when I started trying to play golf, what I realized is a good round of golf is going to take you 4.5 5 hours. And at the back in the day when I tried to learn the game, I was working 40 50 hours a week. It was difficult for me to come home and then on a Saturday disappear for another 5 hours after I've been gone all week. So the thing you probably don't know about me is family is everything. I have a daughter right now. She's a freshman up in college. My wife and I are high school sweethearts. We dated since our junior year in high school, and so everything. We're the type of family. It's really kind of sound cliche, and don't choke everybody. But if we need a gallon of milk, all three of us pile in the car and go get a gallon of milk. That's
Oh, I
just
love
who we
that.
are. So it's just kind of fun, and so I try and bring that level of connectedness to people everywhere I go.
That's awesome. Well, I couldn't be more delighted to be working with someone like you. Again, congratulations on all your recent successes, and we can't wait to see what you're going to do for CyberClan in the future. And we just appreciate you sharing a little bit about your role, your path here, and what you're excited for in the future. Thanks, Mike.
Oh, great to be on the team, and it's such an awesome place to work. So thanks for the opportunity.